Hello and very warm welcome at Amish Shackle 5858. I am Amish Shackle. Following news have been reported by American, European, Asian, African, Australian news channels and the news agencies. So please, let's go to the headlines.
Tonight, breaking news, the massive prisoner swap freeing Americans held in Venezuela. The stunning news late today, 10 Americans and permanent U.S. residents coming home from Venezuela after a complex prisoner swap involving hundreds of Venezuelan migrants sent to a notorious prison in El Salvador. The deadly bomb squad accident in L.A. County, an explosion killing 3 sheriff's deputies. Sources say the deputies were handling explosives brought back from a seemingly routine call, the department's worst loss of life in 168 years. President Trump under pressure calling for the release of grand jury testimony in the Epstein case. What the Justice Department has just done. The mid-air scare, a passenger reportedly trying to open an emergency exit and shoved a flight attendant who tried to stop him. The pilot making an emergency landing. And new video just in, a reported engine fire forcing a Delta flight to divert to Los Angeles. Severe storms sweeping from the Midwest to New York. More than 60 million Americans on alert for storms, flooding, and dangerous heat. The tropical rainstorm in the Gulf, and the soaring temperatures ahead of an extremely hot week. The suspect in the brutal killing of a paddleboarder in Maine appearing in court. The 17-year-old charged with murder. Prosecutors asking he be tried as an adult. A shark bites a teen in Florida. What we know in the stunning video showing a group of sharks preying on a school of fish just off a popular New York beach. CBS canceling The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. The network facing criticism, calling it a purely financial decision, ending the program after more than 3 decades on the air. The Coldplay concert and the viral kiss cam moment seemed like tens of millions, and we're now learning tonight. And remembering a legendary Oscar-winning lyricist. So many songs from television and film we can't forget.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David York.
Good evening. President Trump under pressure, calling for the release of grand jury testimony in the
This is the Will Kane Show, and we begin with a breaking news alert. Fox News Digital exclusively reporting that the Obama administration manufactured and politicized intelligence to create a narrative that the Kremlin was trying to influence the 2016 presidential election. This is the origins of Russia. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has just declassified today these documents, laying out this timeline. Prior to 2016 and the election, officials from across the intelligence community assessed Russia lacked the intent and capability to hack U.S. elections. After President Trump's 2006 victory, early intel assessments proved that there was no foreign manipulation. Now, officials tell Fox that intelligence was then manufactured and politicized to be used as the basis for the year-long Mueller probe. The documents state, quote, hours before the December 8, 2016 PDB was due to be published, a senior intelligence official abruptly pulled it from the president's briefing book. It was never published. The next day, on December 9, 2016, the Obama White House convened in a classified NSC meeting with top administration officials to discuss Russia. Following the meeting, an email was then sent from then DNI Clapper's executive assistant to the intelligence community officials with the subject line, POTUS tasking on Russia election meddling. Within hours, the intelligence community made a 180-degree pivot and started drafting an intelligence community assessment that directly contradicted assessments from the previous 6 months, manufacturing and amplifying the Russia hoax narrative. This is what DNI Director Gabbard is saying today. There was a treasonous conspiracy in 2016 committed by officials at the highest level of our government. We'll continue to break down the bombshell as it develops. Back to the breaking news we brought you off the top. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard declassifying documents that show a, quote, treasonous conspiracy at the highest levels of the Obama administration to manufacture a narrative that Russia was trying to influence the 2016 presidential election. New York Congressman Mike Lawler joins us now. Congressman, it's great to have you on the program. This just broke about an hour or so ago that D&I Gabbard released these documents in a timeline that is incredibly fascinating. To some extent, Congressman, even as early as earlier this week, we broke down and asked the question of whether or not there's not enough focus on President Obama when it comes to Russia. What Gabbard is sharing with us now is the day-by-day and minute-by-minute change in the intelligence community reports after they go to the White House to meet with Obama, wherein they change the narrative of Russia's involvement in our election.
On this Friday night, Donald Trump plagued by Jeffrey Epstein. The Wall Street Journal obtains a letter allegedly from the U.S. president to the convicted sex offender. Plus, Trump threatens to sue while promising more files from the case of his one-time friend. Colbert canceled.
The network will be ending The Late Show in May.
A late-night staple suddenly axed. Was the decision financial or political as Trump's shadow looms? Canadian politicians targeted.
People thought it was okay to harass me when I was out with my kids.
How threats of violence escalated against the former Prime Minister and his cabinet. Plus, the grim wildfire situation across Canada and the warning it's about to get worse.
Global National. Reporting tonight, Tracy Tong.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. The U.S. president is doing what he can to distance himself and downplay any link to the Epstein files. Today, Donald Trump instructed his attorney general to seek the release of more evidence and threatened a lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal for yesterday's bombshell report claiming Trump penned a lewd letter to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, celebrating Epstein's 50th birthday. Trump says the letter is fake, but it follows a week of turmoil that has fractured his own hardline base. Jackson Prosco has our top story tonight.
Why not go further than just unsealing?
Suddenly, President Donald Trump is changing his tune, ordering the release of grand jury testimony in the case of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
Grand jury testimony is secret by law for a reason, because victims' names and other identifying information is often contained in the information.
The attempt to defuse this political grenade came after a week of Trump insisting there was nothing to the rumored Epstein files.
It's pretty boring stuff. I know it's a hoax. It's started by Democrats. These files were made up by Comey. They were made up by Obama.
That all changed Thursday after the Wall Street Journal reported Trump had sent a bawdy letter to Epstein for his 50th birthday in 2003. The Journal says the typewritten letter was framed by the outline of a naked woman, hand-drawn with a heavy marker, and included the message, "Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." In a series of angry posts on social media, Trump said the paper printed a fake letter, adding, "These are not my words, not the way I talk. Also, I don't draw pictures." In fact, Trump has a public history of providing doodles to charitable auctions. Trump went on to threaten legal action against the paper and its owner, conservative media mogul Rupert Murdoch. "I'm going to sue his ass off," Trump wrote. A judge will make the... Good morning, Afghan resettled in Britain are reportedly bringing more than 20 relatives each, including some previously refused asylum.
Yes, well, the catastrophic military event continues with 3 UK-linked Afghans who were killed by the Taliban.
Also, living crisis rumbles on with reports suggesting could be
Again, as can be in a of axis or further of the government that's completely lost the plot.
Understand why it keeps going. I think really only 3 people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going.
President Trump files a 10-billion lawsuit accusing Murdoch and the Wall Street Journal of information of an explosive Epstein-linked story. Is this a fight for reputation, or perhaps a media war?
Over 20,000 migrants already crossed the English Channel this year, and the GP News has uncovered a surprising new tactic to use people.
The young digital man says working turned into chaos and she had to ditch it to save her business. So, is nightlife making a comeback?
Crazy! They've stopped play at Lord's Cricket Ground and sent beachgoers running. Now the Swans are heading inland. We'll find out what's going on behind the great Ladybird takeover.
Good morning, it's a Lions summer, and today the heat turns up for Andy Farrell's side as they face the first test this morning against the Wallabies of Australia in Brisbane. At the Open, Rory McIlroy stays on the coattails of the leaders, and it's fight night for Daniel Dubois, Alexander Usyk, and 90,000 fans at Wembley Stadium.
Of heavy thundery rain, lots of warnings this weekend, the risk of some flash flooding in places. I'll have the details coming up.
It's just on 6 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Dawn Neeson, and this is GB News Breakfast.
My name's Peter O'Brien. These are the headlines. Journals and a Ross letter for as weight while free by a stop photo with El Salvador's president Nayib Bukele.
Sexually suggestive drawing and a reference to shared $10. Sport has banned Jair Bolsonaro from using social media and ordered him to wear an electronic monitoring device.
It's that 19. Report from Murdoch over a lewd letter he's accused of writing to Jeffrey Epstein. Storm warning across parts of the UK with up to 2 months' rain expected to fall in a matter of hours.
Raring to go, I sit down with Dan Barr ahead of his undisputed heavyweight world title against tonight.
Hello, very good morning. Thanks for joining us here on The Breakfast Show. Our top story today.
Don't come to muscle rest.
Backroads, Thursday at 8, ABC TV and ABC iView.
Today, with 3 hours until polls close, Tasmanians cast their ballots to decide on their state's future leader.
It's been 11 years of the Liberals, hopeful for a fresh start, and I'm confident that we have put our very best foot forward.
An investigation launched after police shoot a man dead in North Queensland.
plan. The Prime Minister condemns Israel over the killing of Palestinians waiting for aid in Gaza.
And we'll call it out each and every time that has occurred.
And Donald Trump sues media over journals into his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Hello, you're watching ABC News. I'm Alex Thomas. A very warm welcome to you. Tasmanians are heading to the poll.
Issue about country and high U.S. 3,000 people still on the rounds 4 days. 4 people have killed in floods. And Donald Trump seeking $10 billion in a defamation lawsuit against Rupert Murdoch and the Wall Street Journal. The case is over a story linked when sent to Jeffrey Epstein. Wall Street Journal owner Dow Jones has vowed to vigorously defend itself against the lawsuit. This comes a day after Mr. Trump ordered officials to release Epstein's court documents following mounting pressure from within his own party. And that's the latest from the CNN newsroom. It's 12 p.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 9:30 in New Delhi, and 11 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Rani Samtani. At this hour, it's the final day of campaigning before Japan holds its upper house elections. The crucial task for Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba comes as the country faces rising prices and the prospect of high U.S. tariffs. Nearly 3,000 people still unable to return home in South Korea as tornado rounds the country fourth straight day. 4 people have been killed in flash floods. And U.S. President Donald Trump's $10 billion in a defamation lawsuit against media magnate Rupert Murdoch and the Wall
Africa News. The news.
Hundreds of Liberians flooded the streets of Abuja on Thursday, chanting "Enough is enough" and demanding accountability from President Joseph Boakai's government. The demonstrations, led by opposition figure, marks the most visible protest since Boakai took office last year, promising reforms and better living conditions. We, the motorcyclists, want a war crime cut. The war crime cut should not be for Prince Johnson alone. General Butt Naked needs to go to the war crimes court too. There is growing frustration that figures widely believed to have committed war crimes remain free or even active in political life.
I'm very angry. Now why I'm in the street today? I'm in the street to remind my government of their past promises that they make to we the Nigerian people that are going to better our lives. How can you say you give to better the life of the people, but then you sit and you took people from jobs? Is that why you want better?
Liberians voted for Joseph Boakai because he had 40 years experience. So we should start to use the 40 years experience for the Liberian people, not for him to come and put tension on the Liberian people. We're suffering, let Joseph Boakai do the right thing. While no violence was reported, Monrovia's usually bustling streets were quieter than normal, as many residents opted to stay home fearing possible unrests. President Boakai's office has yet to respond publicly to the protests or its demands.
Burundian President Evariste Ndayishimiye was appointed on Thursday as the African Union Special Envoy for the Sahel. His mission will focus on enhancing dialogue with governments and working towards restoring peace in the Sahel, where 3 countries, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, are suspended from the organization due to unconstitutional government changes amid jihadist threats. The Burundian president quickly responded on X, expressing his acceptance of the noble mission entrusted to him with humility and responsibility. According to a diplomatic source in Bujumbura, his appointment as the African Union Special Envoy for the Sahel rewards his efforts to lift Burundi out of the isolation imposed by his predecessor. The Angolan President João Lourenço, who is the current chairperson of the African Union, said to have chosen a ship because he's a military figure, stating he will be able to speak on equal terms with the leaders of the Sahel States Alliance.
After 27 years in prison, Nelson Mandela walked free on the 11th of February 1990. 2 years later, the first democratic state. Claimed by the United Nations in recognition of his contribution to the cause. Its aim is to inspire people across the globe to take action to make their a better place. This year's mission to end poverty is in us.
President reversal of the birthday Jeff Epstein. This the Justice Department moves to unseal grand jury testimony from the Epstein criminal case. As scrutiny mounts, the journal he personally wrote the disgraced financier a vulgar message for his faith. Now suing Dow as the paper's publisher, as a reporter comes out for a rare reversal from Trump, called the Justice Department tonight to release grand jury testimony in the criminal case. Plus, the deadly explosions at a Los Angeles Sheriff's Training Facility. 3 deputies killed after 2 military-type explosive devices over. Now, so what them off, and what happened? Just in the deal that sent 250 people deported from the U.S. to Venezuela, they're being exchanged for the people you see here. Americans were detained in the Maduro regime. She would be kidnapped while she was at work. Now the teen who barely got away is speaking out. Her message to you, if you find yourself in the same situation. Current call for Stephen Colbert. The shit is ending one of the most storied shows on television. What's behind the late show cancellation? And what's the future of the industry? The chaotic scene after a Beyonce cut out the ski on an escalator that spilled out onto a busy subway platform. Driver car fleets take off. My parents are. Nightly starts right now.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Yonas. From New York, this is the CBS Evening News.
Good evening, I'm John Dixon. Race to is off. President Trump has been trying desperately to get the Jeffrey Epstein case off the front pages, but back on a $10 million lawsuit against one of the largest newspapers in America, the Wall Street Journal. This for reporting Mr. Trump once sent a bawdy birthday card, which the president denies. Nancy Cordes is at the White House. Nancy?
John, good evening. President Trump out as soon as the Journal published its story, and less than 24 hours later, he appears to have made good on that threat, going after not only the paper and the reporters, but also the owner, a man he once considered an ally.
Congratulations, everybody.
Listen today, President Trump touted but online, he was lashing out at the Wall Street Journal, and by the end of the day, he had filed suit against the paper and its own conservative Rupert Murdoch over what he called a fake story.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
For weeks, Trump has tried to tamp down questions about the sex offender and downplay his own one-time relationship with the late financier.
I call it the Epstein hoax. It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring.
But last night, the Journal alleged Trump sent Epstein a birthday message in 2003 that included a hand-drawn sketch of a naked woman. It read, in part, "We have certain things in common. May every day be another wonderful secret." The Journal did not display an image of the message or show it to the White House.
If this letter is real, and if you see the letter, obviously it cements how close they were.
Doug High is a Republican strategist.
There's part of the MAGA base that said this is
President Trump's rescission pact, clawing back $9 billion in already approved funding for broadcasting. Only 2 Republicans oppose the measure, which now heads to Trump's desk for a signature. The legislation codifies Trump's cuts to foreign assistance through the U.S. Agency for International Development, which the British medical journal The Lancet reports could result in 14 million additional globally by 2030. Catherine Von wanted to smuggling of beloved local civic institutions by an act of Congress disregards the public will, unquote.
Jeff Bennett and on the News Hour tonight. President Trump sues the Wall Street Journal amid questions about his past relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. The former head of the State Department's efforts to human trafficking discusses the effects of cuts to that office. And we examine what life now looks like for some of the only refugees to arrive in the United States since President Trump took office.
There's neighbors and family we were going through the process for settlement together with, and they're really suffering.
Thank you for watching Amish Shakil 5858. I am Amish Shakil. I hope you will visit again. Have a good life. Bye-bye.